So one way to decide which is greater would be to draw a picture. Let's put a question mark here. The problem, however, would be it would be often pretty tough to draw that picture. And if you weren't real careful with your measurements, you still might not be able to decide after you draw your picture. So we'd like to have another method for deciding so that we wouldn't have to draw a picture. What we can do is we can change the fractions to equivalent fractions with the same denominator. To compare fractions, change them to equivalent fractions with the same denominator. So let's take the two fractions we were working on just a minute ago, 3/4 and 2/3, and let's change them to equivalent fractions with the same denominator and decide which would be bigger. Remember, when you're trying to turn fractions into the same denominator, you start with the bigger denominator, in this case the 4, and you see if the other denominator will divide into it. Well, 3 won't go into 4, so we know we can't change both of these to 4s. So let's take multiples of 4. Let's try 4 times 2, and we'll get 8. Well, 3 still won't go evenly into 8. So that can't be our denominator. So let's take 4 and go up another multiple, multiply by 3, and we'll get 12. This time 3 will go into 12. So that's what we'd like to change our denominator to. Okay, so this time we're building up our fractions. We're not reducing anymore. We're building up. So we're going to multiply 4 by 3, 3 by 3, and we'll get 9/12. And we multiply 3 by 4 to get 12. We've got to multiply 2 by 4 also. That gives us 8/12. So you can see how close to the same size 3/4 and 9/12 are, because one of them is 9/12 and the other is 8/12. So the 3/4 is only 1/12 bigger than the 8/12. So since 9/12 is bigger than 8/12, 3/4 has to be bigger than the 2/3. So that would be a quick way to tell, is to change 3/4 and 2/3 both into 12s and then see which is bigger, and then we could make our decision and say 3/4 is bigger than 2/3. So we could draw a picture, or we could change to the same denominator. Let's look at some mixed numbers and compare them. We look at 2 1/2, 3 3/4, and we want to decide how the two compare. What symbol should go in between them? Well, this is easy, because what you do in this case is you look at your whole numbers first. If your whole numbers are different, then you can compare your fractions just by comparing your whole numbers. Since 2 is smaller than 3, then 2 1/2 has to be smaller than 3 3/4. So we can quickly compare those. Let's look at another example. Suppose we have 11 2/7 and 11 5/14, and we wanted to compare them. Well, we look at our whole numbers first. Both of our whole numbers are 11, so we can't determine the relationship between them by looking at our whole numbers, so we need to look at the fractions. We need to take the fraction 2/7 and look at it, and take the fraction 5/14 and look at it, and change them both into the same denominator. Well, remember, you always start with the bigger denominator, the 14, and this time, since 7 will go into 14, we can just let our common denominator be 14. So you have to multiply by 2 to turn 7 into 14. So we have to multiply the 2 by 2. That gives us 4/14. Since the 5 already has a 14 under it, we can just copy it up there. So we have 4/14 and 5/14. So since 4/14 is smaller than 5/14, then that's going to make the 11 and 2/7 less than the 11 and 5/14. So change them both to 14ths and then compare. Sometimes you're asked to arrange more than two fractions in order. This time we're going to arrange in order from the smallest to the greatest. So what we need to do is to change all those fractions so that they have the same denominator. So you always start with your biggest denominator and see if you can change the others into that. So if I start with 36, I need to see if 6 and 3 will both go into 36 evenly, and they will, so I can let 36 be my common denominator. So I'm going to rewrite all these: 11, 36, 5, 6, and 2/3, and change them all into 36s. So let's put 36s under each of them. And if we start up here at the top with 11 36s, since it already has a 36 under it, we can just copy the 11 up there. In this one, we have to multiply by 6. So we have to multiply the 5 by 6. So that will give us 30 36s. And here, 3 goes into 36 12 times, so I have to multiply 3 by 12 to get 36. So I have to multiply 2 by 12. And when I do that, I'll get 24. So I have 24 36s. So I'm going to arrange them over. I'm going to just put them under the fraction. 5 6 turned into 30 36s. 2/3 turned into 24 36s. So if I arrange those in order from least to greatest, I would have 11 36 first, then 24 36, and then 30 36. And I can say this is less than this, and this is less than this. So if I put the actual fractions, 11 36 is still 11 36. The 24 36 was the 2/3, so I'm going to put 2/3. And the 30 36 was the 5 6, so I'll put down the 5 6. So in order from smallest to largest, this is the way they would be: 11 36, then 2/3, then 5 6. Now I would like for you to do some practice problems. Number 1, choose the correct symbol: less than, greater than, or equal to. 7/9, and compare it to 5 6. So put in the correct symbol. Number 2, arrange in order from least to greatest: 2/3, 5 8, 7/12. The practice problem's answers. Number 1, the symbol that should go between your two fractions is less than. And then when you arrange your fractions in order from least to greatest, your first one would be 7/12, then 5 8, then 2/3. This concludes our work with reducing fractions and comparing fractions.